It's more money I've ever made in my life in 48. What do you say? 48 days?
48 days, man. 29 different.
It's hard to believe.
$29,000 in 48 days. I can't make this stuff up. How did Trey from Nashville do it? Well, he's here to share his story. So you know what you need to do is simply stand by. Let's get it.
Text me and I'll text you back. Text me and I'll text you back. Text me then I'll text you back. You text me then I'll text you back. You text me then I'll text you back. TikTok, you don't stop. I will help you make your paper stack. Where you at? Where you at? Where you at? Where you at now? 205-964-5243. Now you know. 205-964-5243. Now you know.
Hello, guys. This is Ty, aka the Flip Man, and today we have a young man here that has already hit it out the park with this thing called wholesaling. $29,000 in basically 48 days. I had to count him up. He had the 2 checks. I looked at the dates. I say that would be a great title. All right, so I got my man Trey here out of Nashville / Cash, aka Cashville, Tennessee.
Cashville.
And what's going on, man?
Oh man, just enjoying it. Right now, you got to forgive me. I'm just a little bit awestruck. I'm on here with Ty the Flip Man.
Oh man, oh no.
I mean, I said to myself, I'm not gonna let it hit me, right? Like Ty's a guy just like anybody else. But now that I'm here, I'm like, I don't know what to do with my hands.
Oh man, that's what's up.
But man, I appreciate you having me, and I wanted to come on here, like we always say, not to impress people, but to impress upon people that if they watch your videos and do what you say, don't try to reinvent the wheel. They can make money. It's more money I've ever made in my life in 48. What do you say? 48 days?
48 days, man. 29 different.
It's hard to believe.
Boom. Give me 1 second, but I got to tell you this. When you see vacant houses like these, you want to know who owns those actual vacant houses? It's simple. All you have to do is text the word vacant to the number on the screen now, and you will thank me later. So now back to the video. All right. So what I like to do, man, is just go ahead and try to get a little background from you leading, I guess, up to real estate, and maybe following my content or whoever else's. And we go from there. And, I'll just ask questions you'll know the answers to, I'm sure. So,
right.
Just tell us about Trey, man.
From California originally. I joined the military at like 18, and they shipped me off. And that's how I wound up in Tennessee. I actually wound up in Fort Campbell, Kentucky. And I was a medic, and my entire life, I just wanted to be a firefighter. And that's what I've done. I'm a firefighter paramedic. I've been doing that for 20 some years.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And yeah, that's really what I wanted to do. And in between that, as a lot of firefighters have 2 or 3 jobs, I was always an entrepreneur. I owned a CPR business that taught, CPR classes. I owned a couple gyms. That, during the crash, that was a real difficult time to be in business, but I kind of cut my teeth, the school of hard knocks to learn about business and sales. Believe the gym model and the gym membership is actually what taught me sales. That's how I really learned, because I tell people, car sales and gym sale membership, if you could do either one of those, you probably do okay. So, and then I got into internet marketing around 2012, and that's when it just blew my mind. And I started doing that. I help people who want to become firefighters. So I started running funnels and getting into email marketing. And I didn't know anything about real estate. I was one of those guys who thought that you had to have money to get into real estate like that. So I forget how I stumbled upon your video. I wasn't thinking about real estate. It wasn't even in my lane. And then that's when I picked this up. But what really resonated with me is I could tell immediately after watching a few of your videos that, much like any other sales, it was all about scale. It was all about your numbers. Whether you're selling bologna or houses or gym membership, I got the impression that it was, you need to talk to X amount of people to get X amount of deals. And I was like, dude, I think I can do that. And so I watched all your videos. And that's actually an understatement to say I watched all your videos. I would have your videos, and this is for anyone out here listening, just to let you know how serious I took it. Okay. I would turn on your videos while I was in the shower. So I'm listening to them. I can't see them. I go to bed at night. I put headphones in. I fall asleep to it. So it's still getting in my subconscious. I drive to work, listen to it. I come home, listen to it. Like if my girlfriend was here right now, she'd tell you she was tired of Flip Man. And I said, but eventually I went out there and I took action. In fact, it only took me a couple of days to order the bandit signs. It was the first thing I went and did. And she says, she was surprised. She goes, oh, we're really doing this. I said, yeah, what'd you think? She said, well, I thought you would learn about it a couple months and this would be something you do in the future. She saw the box of signs come like in a couple of days, and she knew how serious I was. I'm like, yeah, I'm not waiting. We're gonna make this happen.
Oh wow, yeah,
yeah.
Wow. Yeah. So the reason I'm smiling not because of what you're saying, how much you listen to me, but that's how I go in. That's how I went in when I purchased Ron LeGrand stuff back in 2003. Yeah. And it was training from 1997 in reality. So I was 6 years old when I got my hands on it. And it was a bootleg copy of it. So he was charging $1,500 for it. And I couldn't afford that when I went to his website. And a couple of days later, I thought, well, I had made my mind up I was going to get a second job to come up with the money. But a couple of days later, I thought about eBay, and I went there, and there were some auctions on his actual courses. And so back then, I didn't win the auction, but eBay allowed sellers to reach out to you by email. And the guy and I negotiate. I guess that was his hustle, that he'll have the auction, but then he'll reach out to you and see if you want to buy a bootleg copy of it where he just burnt the CDs. And we agreed on $400, which was still a financial sacrifice, man. When I got, the package was like wholesaling, lease options, fix and flipping, subject to, a couple more things, So I went from knowing zero about real estate to being bombarded with all of these different techniques that you can make money on. And so my point is to bring that up, man. I was so engulfed in it, right? That like I would listen to it in the shower, in the way to work, any of quote unquote time that I wasn't probably at work, I was listening to it going to bed, and I had to figure out, where I left off because I fell asleep. You know what I'm saying? So so I don't even mean to cut you off, but that I can really, really relate to, and I still do that somewhat now. If I want to learn about something, I'll just get engulfed into it, man. So that's why I have so little patience with people. When you reach out to me and you start asking questions that I know my video is going to answer, you know what I'm saying? Not saying I won't answer questions, but in most cases, I'm going to have very little patience. I'll say, I don't have time to do it. Okay, well, you probably don't have time to do it. You know what I'm saying? Right. If you don't have time to educate yourself, you don't have time to do it. Right. It's the same thing or whatever. But go ahead, Dom. I'm sorry.
No, that's it, man. You said it. I was motivated. And being here now doing this video, these are the things that motivated me watching all the other people. So I watched those and if I'd get confused, I'd get kind of down or think to myself, I can't do it. I'd immediately go in there and find a testimony. And that boosted me up. The testimonies kept me going. You see in other people, they're doing it. So I said, I can do this. It kept me motivated. Then when I got the first check, I was really motivated.
All right. So let's don't get ahead of ourselves. So when did you actually start? When did you first discover that wholesaling existed? When did you have an idea? You remember?
Yeah, I mean the world was still mashed up, and I think we were still kind of sheltering in place. It had to have been January, February, March, April. Had to be March or April of this year.
Oh, really? Okay. Yeah. All right.
Had to be March or April of this year. Maybe it was April. And I think the first deal was in May. Was it? Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, someone like yourself. You're an entrepreneur, number one, but you've actively put, sounds like successful businesses together. So when you see something like this, it's not going to take long, right? No. And see what one of this young lady that used to work for me, she had to explain to me. She was only 20 at the time, I think. So, young Mr. Todd, that was called me. What you have to understand is that when someone hears about this, it sounds so good or whatever, and it is or whatever. Not easy, but it is what it is. It is a very simple business. You can make a lot of money, change financial situation, but you still got to put the work in. But you say what you have to understand also, this is maybe also someone's first opportunity or first attempt to try to run a business at the same time. Yeah. So some of the stuff that you just take for granted that that, hey, you can go down to the courthouse and register an LLC. Some people don't even know what an LLC is. You know what I'm saying? So, but anyway, so my point is, like, someone like you that's in sales, you like you say, you sold gym memberships. You can basically sell anything or whatever. So it's so competitive. Like me paying the membership, and I haven't been in a year. But once you get them in, they in.
Oh, they like that. We like that. You'd have been my favorite.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. See, with the gym membership, if I cancel it, then that means I've given up. Right. Even though I really have given up.
That's right. What I'm saying? Yeah. With the gym membership, when you sign, you scratch that itch. That's it right there. And the brain doesn't know the difference. And that's why half the people, we never see them again, because you just went, you signed, and you did what you came to do.
Yeah. So, but go ahead. I'm sorry. So you found out about it back March, April this year. Yeah. And so when were you comfortable enough to spend some money on it, where you say you bought some bandit signs?
It couldn't have been more than 14 days.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah.
It couldn't have been more than 14 days. Yeah. And then the rest of that time was kind of waiting on the first deal. Gotcha. So I took action rather quick. And then we were driving for dollars and got the first deal.
Oh, wow. Okay. So driving for dollars produced the first deal for you.
Yeah. Okay. We're getting calls off the bandit signs.
Okay.
To this point right now, I love the bandit signs. Bandit signs got my phone ringing with more people than just sellers. Didn't expect that. I didn't know that, but I made some good connections. Some people would call me asking if I had a place to rent. Cash buyers called me. A little bit of everybody called me, and I took down all those people. So for me, I don't know about everybody else, but it also became a pretty good marketing tool. I mean, not marketing, but a
networking.
Networking. That's where I'm looking for. It became a pretty good networking tool.
Yeah, exactly. So, okay. All right. Let's go with the bandit signs, because I talk about them a lot, and obviously you listened, but you understand marketing. You understand that you're taking advantage of thousands of eyeballs.
Yes.
For a very small amount of money. Right. Because you're talking about, I normally go with the 2-color. I wouldn't suggest that starting out because it's a little more expensive. But you're basically talking about, we'll just say on the high end, $2 a sign. And then the more you order, the cheaper per sign it is. But you're putting them in traffic areas where people can see your message. And ideally, if you're doing it right, you're putting them in areas where you're forcing them to see your message. Right. And so some of those people are going to be people that own real estate. Some of those people are going to be people that need to sell a piece of real estate. And some of those people are going to be motivated to sell the real estate cheap. But go ahead.
Yeah. And then some people are just weirdos. I had some people calling me.
That too.
People calling me just cussing me. Like, really? They didn't even know me. They just watched your video on where to place them. Putting the bandit signs out, the old school guerrilla techniques remind me when I used to have my gym guys go and just pound the pavement, put flyers and windshields and whatnot. So, but I had to watch your video to figure this out. This is a bit of a different animal, and put them at the Home Depots, at the Lowe's, at the Walmart exits, places where it was high traffic, the interstates and whatnot. I think we ordered 100 or 150 signs our first time out the gate.
Okay.
And found that it was easiest to do them on Sunday mornings.
Oh, yeah.
I know that you have plenty of videos. For those out there watching, Flipman bandit signs, that's all you got to do is type in a word, hit Flipman, you'll find whatever you need. But like I said, we went into this not reinventing the wheel. Didn't want to do that. I did know enough about business to also know that, you follow somebody else's success. Mm-hmm. So we just did what your video said. Sunday mornings worked the best. Any other day of the week, it was just too much activity.
Yeah.
Started out initially with sticking them in the ground. Mm-hmm. That's okay. There's some areas where that's all I could do.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you back, second time went around, redid it to your idea where we stuck the zip ties through.
Correct.
Start putting them on poles. When I went back around, those were lasting a lot longer.
Yeah.
And they just look better because my little ones that were stuck in the ground, the wind would get them and they'd tilt and they'd flop and it didn't look good. So
yeah, when you're tying them up with zip ties on stop signs, yield signs, and things of that nature, you're getting them at eye level of where people sitting in their vehicles. So
Yeah. So that's what we did. It was a simple message. I think we had 2 colors on it. It had the white, black drop, and we used the red and black lettering. Okay. And it was just cash for your house, any condition. Simple, right? Like you said, people are in movement. It can't be something they have to read about. It has to catch them and have the phone number. Correct. And so that's how we did it.
All right, boom. So
I use Vumber. I use Vumber, by the way. I know you've talked about them. I don't know if you still use them. Oh, yeah. But obviously, you don't want people calling your phone. So
no, not at all.
Yeah.
Not at all. But when I started out, that was, the technology that exists now didn't exist then. Like right. The third-party numbers were not as the third-party phone service that provide numbers that you can manage like Vumber. When we're saying Vumber, V is in Victor instead of N is in Nancy, the word Vumber. But it allows you to manage the number. And like when you're doing your marketing, you want to have a number for your bandit signs, a number for your cold calling, a number for your direct mail, a number for your cash buyers. So you want to have multiple numbers. So that helps track your marketing to see what's working, what's not working, what is working, you do more of, what's not working, try to fix it or whatever.
Cut it.
86 it.
Yeah.
So, all right. So let's get into the actual first deal and how it came about. I think you say you're driving for dollar. How did the first deal come about?
Yeah, and I tried to go back and look at all the numbers. So some of my numbers may be a little bit gray, but we'll get there.
That's cool.
Yeah, was just driving through the neighborhood and saw, and these first 2 deals, these were trial by fire. These were not easy deals, but I'm glad that they weren't because I was just introduced to some hard stuff out the gate. But first one was driving for dollars, saw a for sale by owner sign that had just been put out. Okay. Called them. It was a probate. A gentleman had died from COVID and had given the house to his nieces, I believe. Mm-hmm. The niece had a husband and he was representing the family. So he was the one that I initially started talking to. And he must have just put that sign out. I don't know if he had a lot of offers. I was the first person. He was ready to meet me the next day. But I also get the feeling it was one of those kind of things where the family didn't really have any need for it. They wanted it to, they lived far away and they were just trying to unload it. And it was in disrepair. It was in pretty bad condition. Mm-hmm. So met him the next day, did the comps on that one, which I believe, I want to say that one comped out at like 200 or 200,000 or 210, somewhere in there. Mm-hmm. Did my formula and I knew that I could be at like 125 or lower, somewhere in that area. I met him the next day, did a walkthrough, looked at it. This is the funny part. First, he comes out and tells me he has to disclose that he's a realtor. And automatically, because I listened to all your videos, I felt I had a good understanding of off market, not on market. I was immediately intimidated by this guy. I'm like, I don't know if this is a deal, right? Because he's a realtor and he's already using verbiage and language I don't understand. He's talking about contract stuff that I don't understand.
Yeah.
But I didn't let that sway me. We're walking around. I get outside and I'm thinking, here's my moment, right? I know I wanted to offer this guy 110, and I knew it. And I thought we'd start negotiating right there. He comes out and I said, well, what are you thinking about it? He says, it appraised for 124, 125, something like that. And I thought, okay, here I go. And I said, I'll give you 110 for it. And he goes, That's about right.
Oh no! Hey, you're in sales, so you know what that means, right?
He got me. He got me. That's what it means. He got me. Oh man, he got me.
He probably would have took 80.
Yeah, right. So yeah, I knew the second he didn't haggle over it, I was like, he got me. Old school tactic. He shot for the moon, and I landed exactly where he wanted to be.
Yeah.
So we agreed on that. Now, this was a fairly easy process, but then he started asking about proof of funds. And that's when I called you. And by the way, anyone who's listening, you know, Ty answers, it really is him. And I told him what I was dealing with. I said, I don't even understand where to get the proof of funds. We went to, I think it was a Real POF.
Yeah.
Got the proof of funds. So the most difficult part of working with the realtor was the fact that I didn't know a lot of his language, and I was immediately intimidated. And the first couple days, this was my fault because it was my perspective, was wondering if he was trying to railroad the deal. What would he think about me being a wholesaler? So I automatically was really negative. And the fact that he was on the phone a lot, he was calling me a lot, he was asking about the title a lot. He wanted to redo the contract. He had an entirely different contract because he was licensed, and this is the contract we have to use. And it was nothing like what I learned on your video. So I was immediately intimidated. But I say that to say this. I did get to the point where I realized I had to remind myself, like, everybody wants to play their role, right? Mm-hmm. And I changed my perspective and thought to myself, you know, here's a guy, he had told me he'd been doing this for 20 years, right? So he's been quarterbacking for 20 years. It was really hard for him to sit on the sideline, even though he was just representing his niece. This guy understood it was a wholesale deal. He didn't care. The second I took my hands off it, right, I'm watching it, and let this guy be who he is. He wanted to make the phone calls. He wanted to set up the notary. You know what? I took my hands off of it and let him work, and it was fine. So I think it was just a matter of my perspective being real leery, wondering what this guy was up to. And he wasn't up to anything. He was just doing all he's known for 20 years, being a realtor, and he couldn't help himself. Mm-hmm. So I just let him go ahead and do it. That deal went through fast. Okay. Well, cash buyer, right?
Well, let me ask you. So you all ended up using his contract, the Board of Realtors contract, or?
Yeah. So let me see if I remember this correctly. We used your contract, but we had to add some things to it because there were two sisters that were involved in the probate. Had to add a few things, and then we had to attach his contract, which wasn't really a contract; it was a disclosure of who he was. Full disclosure, he was a realtor type deal. Okay. So it literally added almost 10 to 20 pages to your one-page contract.
All right. So how much earnest money?
$100.
$100. There you go, guys.
$100. He was fine with that. And anybody who's wondering out there about Real POF, works like a charm.
Okay, boom.
We sent that through, didn't have a problem with it. It's good. Boom. And I still keep Real POF.
All right. All right, so go ahead. So the buyer side of it. So you got in the contract, it's vacant. Tell us about, number one, how did you market for a buyer?
Craigslist.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, went on Craigslist. You had a couple that was on. I forget their names, but she had
Gail and they're out of North Carolina.
That Craigslist ad was fire.
Yeah.
I copied it.
Yeah.
I once again, don't reinvent the wheel. I copied it word for word. I had a phone call within a couple hours.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
So what did you market it at? What price? You had it on the contract 110.
Oh, turned around, 110. Turned around and put it out there for 125.
Okay, cool. All right. Yeah,
125. And again, being new, not knowing anything. After the cash buyer had got a hold of it, he goes, yeah, man, we usually pick these up for 140. I thought, you know what? I thought, no wonder everybody wants to deal with me. Like the sellers wanted to deal with me. The cash buyers haven't stopped calling me because all that meat on it.
That may have been a $50,000 deal.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. You know, what the buyer was willing to pay, probably what the seller was willing to accept.
Yes.
It could have even been a $50,000 payday. You know, you're not complaining, but you know, lesson learned.
No, yeah, still happy to get it and lesson learned. I'm glad I got to deal with a realtor right out the gate, learn some of the language, learn about their disclosures and their contracts. So next time that happens, now I don't really want to deal with, real estate agents, don't really want to do the on-market stuff, but I'm not intimidated by it.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
All right. So how did that process work as for the contract with your buyer?
Use the contract again, use the one page.
Okay.
Used it for both sides of the deal, and it worked like a charm. Okay. Only situation with this was, here's where things got a little bit tangled up. I'd originally taken it to a title company, and in Tennessee, everyone can use their own title. I took it to a title company. The real estate agent, he wanted to take it to his title company.
Of course.
The buyer wanted to take it to their title company.
Oh, wow.
So we had 3 titles involved. And finally, the one that I was working with, trying to build a good relationship, I'd taken them some pizzas, introduced myself, say, hey, we're going to do a lot of business. They finally called and said, hey, this is too diluted. Like, we got too much going on. We want to do business with you, but we're going to bow out. Let's let these 2 agencies do it. So my title moved out of the way, and it's fine. It closed. It was an easy deal. Once I changed my perspective about the realtor and let him just be himself, it was an easy deal.
Okay. So from the time frame that you put it on the contract with the realtor, I guess, and to the time you closed, how many days was it?
I'm guessing here. I mean, it was less than 30. Okay, I would say, yeah. Okay. I would say probably maybe 20 days. It was less than 30.
All right. Once you found the buyer and put them on the contract, how long did it take?
7 days. Took a week.
Days. So just long to get the title clear. Okay.
Yeah, and I still maintain with these cash buyers out of Nashville. These are my guys. I mean, I've built a good relationship. We go out to lunch, but these guys are back from some big pockets out of Texas.
I got you.
So yeah, I mean, the type of guys that just maybe drive by the house and say, we'll take it, Yeah.
Okay. All right. So that was the which check was that? That was the $15,100 check or whatever it was.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I got that check. So the cash buyer, because we went through their title, they're also agents, they had their own brokerage. He said, I'm going to meet you somewhere, met with him. It was a great experience. My first experience, of course, he gave me a card that said, it was great to work with another professional, someone who communicated. I hope we do a lot more deals. And that made me feel good because this is all the stuff I learned from Ty, right? And to make sure that my crap was in order. So it made me feel real good that, I got that respect. Then he handed me a check. I sat in my car in the parking lot for probably about half an hour with that check in my hands.
Wow.
Yeah. It meant that much to me. That's what I hear you talking about, the proof of concept. Okay. That was the proof of concept. Yeah. And let me tell for those out there who haven't done your first deal yet, it also comes with a great amount of responsibility because once you've proven the concept, then there's no excuse. Then it's on one of those things like, whoa, this is real, right? This changes everything. There's no reason besides maybe the economy collapsing that I shouldn't be multiplying this and doing this all the time. Yeah. And so that put just a little bit of pressure on me, but I shook out of it. I was good.
Oh yeah, you're shook out of it.
Yeah.
Now my first check was only $2,500. And, I had failed in so many businesses before that, it was like $250 to me, $250,000 in reality. And the young lady I was dating at the time, after a month went by, she said, I don't know much as you know, but you think you're going to ever do another one? And I think it's time to do another one. And so anyway, but yeah, so.
Yeah.
But so the second deal, how did that one come about?
Whew. Now, this is the one that I wanted to share with your people because this was a doozy. Okay. Right. This, like I said, the first 2 deals, this one right here was the school of hard knocks. This one came from Facebook ads. I've had tremendous success with Facebook ads in my online marketing.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Understood it. I know you do. I seen your ClickFunnels. I seen your stuff. I peeped out what you're doing. So I know you understand it, Ty. Mm-hmm. But, in the Facebook ads arena, we say the first thing you got to do is get an ad that breaks even, right? You put $1 in, you get $1 out. That way you're growing your base. When you get a 2-to-1 ad, meaning I put $1 in, the front side and I pull $2 out, I'm doing good, right?
Yeah.
Now, what about this? According to Russell Brunson, you know who he is. When I get a 3-to-1, I have what? $1 million company. At that point, it's just all about scale. It's whether or not you have the employees and the scale to take it to that level. But anything, I don't care what you're selling, you put a buck in on one side and 3 pops out on the other side. It's $1 million business. Yeah. So we did Facebook ads. This particular ad to get this lead cost $68. $68 to get this lead. For those of you, keep that in mind. And we can even look in broader terms. Even though it was $68 for that lead, let's look at our ad spend for the entire month was $1,500. Okay. So let's work with that number, $1,500. I'm fine with that. But that is what produced this deal right here. We have the ads that have the picture of the not so nice looking house. We'll buy it. There's several different ads that cycle through. They get on there and they fill out a form. And that's how we get the lead. Called this woman. Okay. Called her up. She was in a very bad way. Her husband had died. She also had some personal problems. Won't put her business out there, but some really bad problems. It was hard for her to communicate and understand things. So right off the bat, that was a bit difficult. The house was, she was a hoarder. So the house was in very, very bad shape. She just wanted to walk away from all of it and go live with her father. So the ARV on that one was 210. And I knew that I had to be below 150. I ended up coming to her and offering her 120. And she took it. I mean, we went back and forth for a little bit and she took it. So that wasn't a problem. Then I turned around and I found a cash buyer for 140. So initially I had 20 in it. The deal was going okay. I thought everything was going to be all right. But then she told me that she had signed with another group in town before she had met with me. Wow. Yeah. So I'll slow this down to explain it in detail because this is really good learning right here. So I got a hold of the guy. She had the number of the guy. I got a hold of him and said, hey, I've just locked up a deal, but I don't know if you already have it under contract. And he said, yeah, I do. He said, I've been talking to this woman now. We spent so much time with her past couple months, sending our agents out there to look at the lot and everything else. We signed it. And then also what they did was they took it to the courts and filed a memorandum of interest. Mm-hmm. Ty, do you care to explain what that is?
Memorandum of contract, memorandum of interest. Yeah, I've only done it once, and that was a waste of time for me. I normally don't take that extra step. Someone wants to get out of an agreement, I just let them out or whatever. But go ahead.
You and I think the same way, and I wish that had been the case. Mm-hmm. So that basically means, of course, when it goes to title, this is going to come up. It's going to come up in the courts that they already had her under agreement. She signed. It was her signature. And they had her in there, I think, for like 125. Mm-hmm. And they had already found a buyer, which was an even bigger company. They were going to sell it to them for like 160. So they had everything in place. When I talked to him, I said, well, what would you take to release it? And I'd already heard a few people tell me, usually in deals like this, it could be a couple thousand. So he said, a couple thousand and we'll go away. So I thought to myself, with this spread, that is not a big deal. Long story short, once we started progressing a little bit more and I called him up and said, hey, we need to do a release. We'll file a release paperwork so you can sign it. I said, you said 2,000, right? He goes, well, no, we were just talking those numbers. He said, but we've put a whole lot into this deal. I mean, we've had our guys going back and forth. I thought, okay, well, here we go. Maybe he'll land a couple thousand more. Long story short, this guy came back at $25,000.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
$25,000. I was ready to just let the deal go. But I thought to myself, I knew once he had told me what he was getting ready to sell it for, and I'd seen the paperwork, he already had it locked up to sell for more. Yeah. I thought to myself, there's room here in this deal. Mm-hmm. Long story short, what I did, instead of giving up on it, because I was about to just give up and say, forget that. Like, first of all, he's not a man of his word. But second of all, I mean, that's just, I felt like, dude, you can't close. I'm closing and paying you this big check. So it kind of bothered me. Anyways, so here's what I did, Ty. I got a little creative. Mm-hmm. I went back to the buyer and the seller. First went back to the seller, told her the deal, told her the truth, right? Like said, you really got yourself in a situation here with these guys. Mm-hmm. And these guys were just happy to wait for her to she didn't even know that they had filed in the court against her. She didn't know any of this. So they were happy to just let her, I don't know, pass away or do whatever. They were just going to hold that little nugget over her head. Well, this freaked her out. I said, well, there's a way to get out of it. Okay. But here's what it's going to cost. Here's what they're going to ask. I say, let's split this up. I dropped her down 10 and she took it. So I dropped her down from 120 to 110, went to my cash buyer, showed him the paperwork. He was already salivating over this house. He wanted the house because he knew in this area, there's big projects happening. There's a big business coming, plenty of jobs. So this is why so many people were fighting over this property, right? And a lot of people had seen this property. She had signed with just about everyone, but because, she's got problems, she would just forget about it or back out. You know how, some of them are difficult to deal with.
Oh, yeah.
But I deal with people like her every day at the firehouse as a paramedic. I'm used to being in the streets and building this rapport with difficult people. So for me, I understood it, right? Went back to him, boosted him up 10, boosted him up 10,000, took her down to 10,000.
Yeah.
20 spread. And then, so I figure I would eat 5, right? That's only fair. So all I did was, I just manipulated the numbers. He wanted it. She wanted it. And it still came out in the end. Okay. But in between there were some really difficult conversations with these guys who had the agreements right up into the last minute, right up into closing day. They refused to sign the release.
Wow.
They wanted the HUD before the release. Title was like, we don't do that. You sign the release. I mean, it turned into, a standoff, a pissing match. But at the last minute, when I called him up, I said, look, dude, you're a dime holding up a dollar. Like, and remember, Ty, I called you on this one. And I told you I was going to walk away from it. You asked me what it was. It was 14,000. This is exactly what you told me. This is what kept me in the game. When I told you all that I had to do to go through it, this is what kept me in the game. You said, somebody's going to do it to get that 14,000. That's all I need to hear. I said, well, it's going to be me. I'm going to do it. That's your deal. I hung up the phone. I was like, bro, he's right. Like, I got to be hungry. I'm not, that's 14,000. I need
14 big ones, man.
I need
it. You know how long it takes most people to make $14,000, dude?
If that's what you told me to, you said, somebody's going to do it. I was like, it's going to be me. Let's go.
Yeah.
Also inside of that deal to get her where I needed to get her at the 10, I'll tell you a few other things I had to do. She had an old antique truck that was in the back.
Yeah.
Needed it moved to her son's house.
Okay.
What do you think I did? I picked up the towing on that. Okay. After we closed the next day, had the tow truck go out there. She was worried that there was stuff in her house that she still wanted, didn't know what to do with it. Drove her around, helped her find a storage. These are all things that were just part of the deal. But like you always say, if somebody came to you and said, I'll give you $14,000 to tow a truck and drive this woman around, you mean tell me you wouldn't do it?
Every day.
Oh.
That'll be my job now.
Yeah, that'll be my job.
$14,000 a day just to do that? Yeah, I'd do that, for half of that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, most definitely, man. Yeah. Wow. Now that's a story.
Yeah,
wow.
That's
why I say, man, this is gonna be a breeze for you, man. You already run a business, you're a sales guy. When people like yourselves hear this wholesale, that's like, you can do what and do what?
Yeah.
Oh, it's on.
Yeah, it's on. It's on.
Yeah, it's on. Yeah, man. Oh, man. Trey, I love that. I wasn't expecting none of that.
Oh, man.
I hope people stick around for this, man. They're going to get the best part or whatever. So, that's what's up, my man.
Yeah.
That is what's up. So, what's next, man? I know you're ready to blow the covers off now. So, what's up?
Yeah, we're doing it. Right now, trying to set up a conveyor belt. I don't know, you familiar with Max Maxwell?
Yeah.
He has a really interesting system of running his leads, running them through the conveyor belt is what he calls it. And so what I was doing was what I guess a lot of people do. You take a list, right? Let's say it's tax lien list, and you cold call the heck out of it. You do what you can. And then if nobody answers the phone or you text it or whatnot, the way he has it set up, which we're going to start doing here in a couple weeks, is you take that list, you run it through ringless voicemails for about 3 weeks. You pull leads out of it, you scrub it, you move it on to text messages. Same thing. You move it on to voice. You move it on to your cold calling. Essentially, yeah, you're taking that list and you're really ringing it out. I don't know why this concept didn't come to me, but different people like to be marketed to in different ways, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So when I heard this, I was like, it's so smart because I'm running through lists too fast.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to get that started. And then, of course, get a few guys out there running bandit signs for me. I'm going to get 2 people in 2 locations, driving for dollars and uploading them in batch. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, get myself a court runner to do probates. And so we'll keep it there. And then decided to get myself an office, get an office in September.
Yeah.
Because I don't know about some people, man. Like, I thought it would be great working from home.
Yeah.
But my girlfriend, she's in nurse practitioner school. She's home. So what do you think we do most of the time? We're watching TV and it's like, are we working? Are we playing? Are we? So for me, I'm going to need a little bit of discipline. I'm going to have to still get up and put my Dockers on and go into the office. It's just going to work better for me that way.
Boom.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Wow, Trey. This has been just a really good interview. Again, I hope people stick around for the grand finale is to watch come on stage or Mike come on stage or whoever, you know.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, man, I really appreciate. I know we'll be chopping it up, man, more.
Yeah. Real quick, man. I'll be quick. I got with Chevy, the real Chevy Green. He's been on the show. Got with him last week. He took me through his course on sub 2s. Yeah. He's got a great course. He spent a weekend with me doing the sub 2. So now we're learning that aspect of it. But Chevy's just a cool guy.
Oh yeah, he's cool.
Chevy's just a cool guy.
And his wife, most definitely.
Both of them. And then I don't want to miss out on saying this for anybody that's listening. And Ty, I know you're a humble guy. I know you're humble, but just give me 1 minute to brag on you for a second. Here's why. Like I told people, I'm a firefighter paramedic. And I've studied my craft for 20 years. I've been to all sorts of schools, some of which I've paid out of my own pocket, some of which the government has sent me to schools. You think about when I was in the military, tens of thousands of dollars they spent to turn me into a soldier. The fire department has sent me to different schools across the country. So there has been tens of thousands of dollars that have been spent on me and I have spent. And I want to say that, I make $60,000, $70,000 a year. That's not bad. I'm happy to have it, right? It put kids through college and everything else. I have friends that are in this gig that have 2-year degrees, 4-year degrees, and you can add up how much that costs. And so myself and my people throughout our life, we're lifelong learners. We spend a lot of money, and most of us are not 6 figures. And we're fine with that. We're happy people, but we're not 6 figures. So now I want to say this. You get on Ty's channel, which is free, and you're learning stuff. You're picking up stuff that, of course, you're not learning in college. No place like this teach you. And then now you have the ability to make 6 figures. You have the ability to make, like, let's just say I keep doing simply what I'm doing now. I will be making what some of the doctors I work with make, okay? And these guys went to school. So to me, it's kind of it's a no-brainer. There's nothing else out there that you're going to get for free that is going to produce this kind of income. And I just encourage anybody out there to really think about that. Not saying don't go to college, not saying don't do vocational school. That's not what I'm saying. But Ty is providing a resource here for you. He's giving of himself free videos and live interview and testimonies and bringing people like me on. You got no excuse not to be 6 figures. That's where I'm headed. I'm gonna be 6 figures. Maybe more.
6 figures a month. You know what I'm saying?
Come on.
Hey, but yeah, man. Again, I really appreciate it, man. I can't wait to get this edited and get it up next day or so.
Cool.
Again, man, we really appreciate Trey sharing his story. He's in Nashville, so that gives me another reason to go up there. I already got another one to go up there with my man Tyler on the commercial side. So it's only 4 hours away or less. So we'll be meeting soon, man. So
yeah, let's do it. Come on up. I'll take you out to dinner, take you around, show you a good time. I want to do that, Ty. Seriously.
Oh,
don't blow into town and not hook up with me.
Yes, sir. Oh, it's done. Right, so yeah, man. Trust me. Before the summer's out, it's done.
All right.
So matter of fact, we'll probably do some content while I'm up there or whatever. So
let's do it. Let's do it. Yes, okay.
Well, but anyway, so guys, again, take this man's story and use it to, if it's motivation or whatever. As you said, take advantage of all this free content, man. And you all can do it. I'm no smarter. He's no smarter. He just took the information and ran with it. So as I always like to say, guys, we'll see you on the flip side.
Flip man, it's the flip man. You want some money in your hand? Flipping houses without credit or your cash. Get that bag.